Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. The caller is back. I'm back from COVID. I'm very happy about this because I'm going to the Daniel Levy Stadium tomorrow to watch the AJ fight, much to the discontent of the whole of Twitter. So, get that in the comments while you can. We're joined tonight by an illustrious cast as we whiz around the room at high speed to make up for our tardy start. I'm joined first by Shan. How are you, Shan?
Yeah, I wish I was at the Daniel Levy Stadium on Saturday. But, what can you do when you're paying, £1,200 a ticket just to go straight into Daniel Levy's wallet? Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that, can you? So, yeah, no, I'm good. I've just been out for a meal. You'll be pleased to know I've had a couple of glasses of wine. So, what could go wrong?
Well, Jack could fall over in the background by the look of it.
His arse will just be on full display in the background for you all to see.
Disaster.
That's a subscriber benefit, I assume.
In the background, he's just like, my piece.
and joining us all the way from Austria, HG. How are you, HG? You good?
I feel like I should do like a Eurovision entrance and be like, hello from Vienna. Yeah, I'm all right. It's Friday, so the weekend's here. Spurs are playing some crappy team, and life is good.
Well, I'm also joined by the Arsenal version of HG. Here is Stephen. How are you, Stephen? You okay?
Not too bad. I'm taking that as a compliment, frankly. Thanks very much. But no, like I said, delighted to be offered onto the show. I do actually watch you from time to time anyway. So it's like, oh, jeez, they've asked. So thanks. And hopefully I can bring, not balance, we're not going to use that awful word, but yeah, let's have a bit of a laugh tonight.
Even that face was like HG.
We'll absolutely have some banter tonight. Don't you worry about that.
See, I've got some Irish relatives. Maybe we should check that out at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to start asking, did my mother go to Austria on a school trip or something? I'm like,
and also joining us, he's a part-time removal man, Cookie. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I was all right. Until 5 o'clock. Got a call from a friend late on, so I went out there to do that. Bit knackered. Looking forward to the show, but not looking too much forward to Sunday, I must admit. But I'm sure we'll get into that and get into the nuts and bolts of it. So let's go.
Wow. I've got to be honest, I'm excited to have you all on. It's not often I'm excited about North London Derby Day, but it's almost like a relegation dogfight if you believe everything that's being written about the two sides right now. So we are going to get into that shortly. Before we get into that, whether you're watching at home on catch up, thanks for watching. If you're watching live, drop us a comment and do think about sending us a super chat. Subscribe, channel memberships. I'm not sure if there's any channel members in here today, but we do run the channel membership for just $1.99 a month, and you do get access to some wonderful custom emojis, including Baby Nuno. Who could resist that? And some exclusive content. So do check that out. Let's get into it then. So, Steve, let's sort of come back to you first. What possessed you to start supporting Arsenal?
I'm born there, unfortunately. I know that the accent might give away a little bit of where I'm living right now. He's not in England, but no, born to an English mother, Irish father, lived in Islington for a few years, moved over to here when I was 7. So Arsenal supporting mother, I had no choice, frankly, to be honest with you, and it went from there. And yeah, living over here for 31 years, everyone's either Manchester United or Liverpool. And now with the usual, 9 or 10-year-olds now who are supporting Manchester City or Chelsea because they're winning, God forbid someone would do such a dirty thing. But yeah, it's one of those you suffer through your teenage years. Then we get good, and then you realize when you're 38 that the best team I've ever watched probably played 20 years ago. Great.
Yeah, well, the best team we ever had was in modern times, about 5 years ago. Yeah. Seems to be getting longer by the day.
It's a great midlife crisis. Just going doing like that. You're like, oh yeah, wonder do I have anything to look forward to as an Arsenal fan? And then you look at the team and went, maybe. But it's just mad how when you think about how long you're supporting your team and how long you're thinking about best players and whatever, it's like, oh Christ, I've watched a lot of football. So yeah, it's it's one of those ones where this isn't a game that we're looking forward to. We're almost like nervous about it because we don't want to lose it, because we both know the other team is in such shocking form right now that, like, if we lose to them, God, we're bad. And it goes both ways. And that's the end of the show. We'll see you next week. Good luck.
I'm still thinking this is what happens when Caller things.
Unfortunately, we think that Mrs. Caller may have messed up the internet. So, run sheet. I better actually look at it. Oh Christ!
I've said something that's appalled him so much that he's just gone, nah. He's put the Ethernet cable out of the computer. He's gone, nah, fuck this, I'm off. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I allowed an Arsenal fan in this for 3 minutes, and no, it's enough. My soul can't take it anymore. I'm gone. Everyone else can sort with it. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite rare that you find Arsenal and Spurs in a similar position, because obviously Arsenal were better than Spurs for a long time.
Yeah.
And then obviously the last 5 or 6 years, it's sort of, you've seen the shift. Where Spurs have been better than Arsenal, and now we're just both very, very bad. So it will definitely be.
I think we're getting to the point where everyone used to say, like, would you be happy if Spurs finished 18th and Arsenal finished 19th? Like, because you beat your rivals, and it's like, no, because we both beat, like, that doesn't really matter anymore. It's weird. It is weird that we care so much about beating this team, but actually we both probably hate Chelsea quite a lot, and we've got lots in common now. I don't like this feeling.
Yeah, like it matters locally, obviously. Like, it matters when you're going into an office the following morning and you see your colleague or your workmate, and he's in an opposite shirt, and you can at least make yourself feel good. You're shit. Before opening up the daily papers and realizing you're still 12th. You get that Schadenfreude from feeling, well, look, I feel crap, but he's worse. Yeah, and your week is filled with happiness because of that. But like, Arsenal or Tottenham are rebuilding right now, like, or at least trying to. Like, Arsenal probably in their second rebuild since Arsene Wenger left, and you're now in your first proper one after trying to get one last squeeze out of the orange by getting Mourinho in to do better than Pochettino. Like, God. And now you're trying to do something with Nuno Espirito. But it's one of those situations where neither of us really know if it's working yet. Like, Arsenal have got 18 months of Mikel Arteta, and we're like, is he good? And we're like, maybe.
Can I speak? I think I speak for most Spurs fans when I say that Mikel Arteta is doing a fantastic job, and we love him.
There you go. And yet every reasonable counter I have to that is kind of technically true. Like, this is his first preseason. This is the first time he's had proper money to build a squad. This is the first time COVID isn't there. This is the first time he's got fans behind him, etc. And it's one of those, like, he will be getting extra time just because there's Arsenal in him. In the same way that, Mourinho, the first even whiff of it going wrong, you were like, out. No, we're not putting up with this shit, out. Whereas with Manchester United and Solskjaer, they're willing to put up with him and the ups and downs and all the losing of the semi-finals, because if they win one big trophy with him, it'll mean more to them because it's Solskjaer. So it's not really one of those things where should Arsenal give Mikel Arteta time? It's like, well, we'd rather give him time than Emery. And I suppose, like, if Tottenham were in this position now and Ledley King was manager, how much more, not confident, but how much more considerate would Spurs fans be with the football you're playing at the moment when you can say, well, we're giving him time. We want to see what he's got long term. Yet with Nuno, you're like, that's it. Really?
We had 6 months of Tim Sherwood, and it was 6 months too long. Like, I feel like
fair point. Yeah, fair point. Yeah,
I feel like we've been there a little bit. Like, obviously, Tim Sherwood's not the legend that Ledley has been. I don't know how Arsenal fans really see Arteta, because to me, he's an Everton player. Like, that's I don't know. It's there, but no, I definitely feel as if like perhaps you're further along because you've had more time to actually get certain ideas on the training pitch. Nuno's been in charge since the end of June. It's not even 3 months, and I mean, obviously, Kane and various players didn't make it to North London until the middle of August. So we are definitely a bit behind on that. But I guess we hope that because we still have the league's best striker, that we can stay ahead and start from a higher spot. But it is odd because I think most Spurs fans were just happy that Mourinho went. They probably would have done it later, not the week of the final. But I think that if you're a Spurs fan who wants Nuno out after 5 games, then I don't have anything nice to say about them. I really don't. I would say something far worse if I was on Twitter. But there you go. It's just it's far too early.
7 games of Ryan Mason as well.
Well, that's the funny thing with Ryan Mason. I mean, like, he won a fair few of them, but all that did was really show you just how bad Mourinho had been.
Yeah.
Because
same with us with Freddie Ljungberg. After Unai Emery, now the 15 months that went between Wenger leaving and Arteta starting was an absolute tire fire from everyone, from Stan Kroenke down. The man in charge was fired. The man in charge putting the man in charge was fired. The man who got put in charge after the man in charge was fired, and then the man who was put in charge was fired. And now Arteta's in, and no one's above him, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to run this like my show," and no one's challenging him. So
your rebuild's quite muddled though, isn't it? Because Arteta won a trophy, and now he's rebuilding. Whereas with Spurs' rebuild, the trophies never came, is it, under the last few managers? But Arteta won a trophy, and now he's rebuilding. It seems a bit muddled to me, around the wrong way.
Yeah, well, that Arsenal team was decent. It was capable, and it beat City and Chelsea in 2 weeks in Wembley, but it was an empty Wembley, and we were playing 5 at the back with Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing left wing back, and we were playing so deep. We always needed tweezers to be dug out of our penalty area at some points, and we'd have one move to the right back, to the centre mid, to Aubameyang left wing, cuts in, corner, goal. Did it twice, won a cup. And
so Arteta never really got the credit for that cup, did he? Really?
No. And he definitely bought himself time. But then there was 3 months after in November where they couldn't pass water. Never mind, they were dismal. And he's like, right, I'm getting rid of all the veterans. I'm bringing in Saka. I'm bringing in Smith Rowe. I'm bringing in Martinelli. I'm going to see what to do. And from then on to the end of the season, we were 3rd. So what do you do? Like, he makes so many really good decisions and so many god awful decisions. You're like, well, can you come to
talk about Granit Xhaka then?
Oh God.
It's weird. We all follow Arsenal a little bit because we want to know how badly they're doing. And you're right. Like, towards the end of last season, they started looking half decent. And like, on paper, you look at them and you think, if you could build a team out of some of those players, they'd actually be quite good. But it's almost like with us. You never really had a right back that you trusted. You were, playing fullbacks at, midfielders at fullback, and it just, obviously you like to see that when you support the other lot, but it was, I don't know,
muddled.
I like to see teams making decent decisions, whether it's Spurs or anyone. Like, you want to see progress. I'd like to have I'd like to have 20 really good, really well-run teams in the Premier League. I don't want to see. Arsenal, I do like seeing them fail, but it's interesting because you spent a lot of money on players that you haven't used, and I think maybe this summer was probably quite good for Arsenal. I think you seem to. I think you've bought all right. That goalkeeper who'd been relegated twice, I'd have signed him for Arsenal.
There was a lot of trepidation about signing Ramsdale just because his distribution wasn't the best, and it's like, well, if we're getting rid of Leno, then we need to be bringing in someone that fits Arteta's plan, which is playing a goalkeeper at sweeper, which is what Ederson does for Man City, and Ederson's unbelievable at it. And it looks like they've signed Ramsdale not for that, but they've signed him for his mouth. They've we shouldn't have let Chesney go 7 years ago for having a fag in the showers, and it's like, well, let's bring in a character, let's bring in someone who's actually going to shout at the defenders. And 2 games in, it's working, maybe, sort of, but it's a low bar at Arsenal for goalkeepers. So what do you do? He's got a lot of big decisions to come up. But Granit Xhaka, Mr. Hold Me Back, as I call him, everyone has one of those lads in their drinking buddies, or that he's the one that will start a fight. But when it actually gets going, he'll be the lad behind you, holding your shoulder, saying, let me back, like trying to get held back, whilst saying that he's after having sex with your man's mom. Like, he's the lad that'll start a fight but won't do anything. He's the mouth. He's the lad, oh yeah, I've got this job, I've got this car, I live in this house, and then you actually see him and he's in a 1-bed flat in that was owned by his mother.
Sounds like Cooler.
Listen, I tell you what, my broadband, I pay an absolute premium for my broadband. It's like £70 a
course it
month.
does.
It's supposed to be the most unbelievable broadband in the universe. It's
But it
about
doesn't reach a garage.
Derek Dyer at centre back right now. It's a
Yeah.
disaster. So I've not had a
Eric
nap,
Dyer isn't
Cody.
that
I've
bad.
not had a
Come
nap.
on.
I've slept enough with COVID. I'm about to be unleashed on London tomorrow. So trust me, I'm all right. Listen, I know Cookies, but the part-time removal man's done a fantastic presentation. So Shan, are we in a position to ping it up?
We are.
Yeah, it's just to get to know our friend a little bit better and see what we think of Arsenal and Tottenham as some like varied questions and
There you go. There you go. The cheese room and the Gooner.
Which one's me?
It says the cheese room and the Gooner.
Yeah, right, yeah. There you go. That's his name tonight, just the Gooner.
The
There we go.
Gooner. Oh God, hang on. There we go.
There we go. What does the North London derby mean to you?
There you go.
Well, it's, like I said, it's you don't want to win it. You just want to make sure you don't lose it. You know that way. Like it's as long as they don't win. Like it's local. It's proper. Like with the globalization of soccer and whatever word you want to call it. It's one of those things where you're going to get millions, if not hundreds of millions of people watching it. And they're like, well, to them, it's not another game. But if you live anywhere within 5 miles of N17, then it's not. It's them. It's that lot. And that matters.
But you're from Woolwich, so it's okay, isn't it?
Maybe so, but they had transportation then and they have now. Like but it's one of those matters. It's them. Like everyone will say, oh, well, you'd win 2 games and lose 36, but it's just in the middle of the season. It's that bar. It's where are we? Are we better than them? Are we going to achieve our goals? Because if we're not better than them, we won't. And it works both ways. You got to judge yourself against something. And number one is the neighbors, the neighbors down the street, the neighbors across the road. Same in every sport. And this is just, like I said, at this moment in time, we don't think we're that good. You don't think you're that good. Let's see who's the least bad.
Are you looking forward to it or dreading it?
Both. It's like, when you get to the top of a roller coaster and you're like, shit. And it's there and it stays there for 5 seconds and you're like, I've paid money for this. And yet you're like, oh no. But that's the point of it, right? Like if it wasn't that dread at the top of the road, you'd be like, it'd be boring. That's why we watch football. That's why we're so emotionally invested in this. We care. We genuinely care. Like if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the dread, if it wasn't for the downright anguish that we all suffer when we lose, we wouldn't be so gleeful and happy if we won. So absolutely. Because the stakes are so high, that's what makes the game so important and so enjoyable. Because you're sitting there like this, going, "Oh no, come on, they scored yet? No, thank God." But that's the point. That's why that we care so much. And the fact that we're giving out about caring so much just shows how much we care.
And is this the best rivalry in football? It's got to be one of the best rivalries, hasn't it? I mean,
it's up there. But I am an Englishman. Accent obviously betrays me. But I live in a town with an IRA prison in it, so I have Celtic jerseys, and I've been to Parkhead for Celtic Rangers. And there is a Rangers pub at the corner of one of the roads of Parkhead. And you have not, I don't care if you've seen Mean Streets, I don't care if you've gone to see Millwall, whatever. You have not seen like just two sets of fans. The vitriol that is thrown at one pub, just because this lad owns a Rangers pub 100 yards from Celtic. It's both glorious and insane in equal measure because it's like 60,000 people converging and all of them wanting to fight. It's glorious, but it's a spectacle that you just have to go see because again, it's that thing of dread again. It's like we can't lose this, we can't lose it. Everyone's going in scared shitless, and it's great. We love it. We're going, oh no, we can't lose this, and then the first goal in, it's not even. It's oh thank fuck, oh Jesus, So it's that I always say Celtic Rangers. Always, just because of the politics and everything behind it, and it's etc. Like true story. My eldest niece is called Eire, E-I-R-E, which is the Gaelic for Ireland, and her mother is a fairly big Republican, And she wanted for Eira's birthday to get a Celtic jersey with Eira's name on the back of it. And the Celtic shop were barred by Irish and British law by putting Eira on the back of a Celtic shirt because it's prohibited by the Good Friday Agreement. True story. You can't have Eira, you can't have 26 or 32.
Wow.
or any reference to the partition that was made in 1922 on the back of a Celtic Rangers. It is barred. It's prohibited by law.
Wow.
So
that's a proper rivalry.
That's yes. It's when they have to put it into law. Lads, don't do that. That's a rivalry.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think the caller would like to see Winks barred from every T-shirt on a Spurs. We don't want to see that anymore.
I'll tell you what, if you're looking for a central midfielder who's got no pace, no forward pass, no skill, apart from booting a tea bag into a cup, then we've got
best first touch in the club.
Best first touch in the club, my arse.
Can we swap him for El Neni? No one will notice the difference.
Yeah, I'd be up for that. Anything's different, anything's good. Move the slide on, Shan. I feel like it will work. Next slide.
Oh, don't. It's like being on a team school. Next slide, please, Shannon. Oh.
Yeah. So here we go. Know your history. Oh, this is interesting. I'm glad, Cookie, you didn't separate them out, to be honest.
No, I'm not. No chance. No chance am I doing that. I know better than that.
How many domestic cups have Spurs and Arsenal won combined? You can play along at home. There's 86 people watching you. Number one, if you haven't hit the like button already, what are you doing? Smash that like for us now. We'd really appreciate it. And subscribe. Secondly, stick your guess in the comments.
So we've got to try and work with Stephen here. So we've got to try and work with him because he knows hopefully knows what they've won, and we should know what we've won. But
yeah, well, it's not C because you haven't won that much. So
what is it? 23? Is it 23?
Yeah, you have won 23. Well, then it's none of them because we've won. What was it? 13 leagues and 13 FA Cups, or 14 FA Cups. So that's 27 by 7. I'm not sure. League Cups is about 3, 4. So that's 31.
I'm going to say B because
I would have said B. Yeah.
No, well, if you've won 31, then the answer is it can only be C because we've won a fair few League Cups in addition to all the FA Cups. I don't know, but
8 FA Cups, is it? We won 8 FA.
We've also won the league. What is it? Twice and 3 European trophies.
Yeah, but Europe isn't in there.
Yeah, not European in there.
I've got the answers if you want them.
Yeah, well,
or do you want to look at a few comments?
Cookie,
Or do you want some comments first? Has anyone guessed yet?
Well, Sam Lee's saying we've won about 14 or 15, so I don't know what the answer is. No one's guessing, so just give us the answers. It's like middle school.
Okay, so Arsenal have won 13 league titles, 14 FA Cups, and 2 League Cups.
It's 29.
Yeah.
And then let me just get this right. So Spurs have won 2 league titles, 8 FA Cups, and 4 League Cups.
So I think it's 43.
Okay, so it's 43,
okay.
yeah.
43, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. I didn't have you down as having 8 FA Cups. That was my bad.
I didn't want to split them, but we had to.
It's because most of them were before you were born, Stephen. That's probably why.
Now you're taking my material here. Like, what's going on?
So 43 cups between the 2 clubs in North London, domestically, yeah.
Sam wants to point this out. We've won more European trophies than them.
Well, yeah,
that wouldn't
true.
be hard. I don't think they've won much in Europe, have they?
Cup and Cup. Yeah. So not Forest have won more European trophies than us.
Really?
No Champions League, no UEFA Cup.
Blimey. There you go. Yeah. More successful than Arsenal in Europe. There you go. Question 2 to Stephen. Which Spurs player, past or present, has annoyed you the most in North London derbies? And I'm going to ask you this. Are you familiar with Arsenal Fan TV?
Yes.
Have you seen the guy who's like that? Fuck Harry fucking Kane.
I was going to say if you're going to give me conditions of he's angry, he swears, and he shouts at the camera, you're going to have to narrow it down a little bit more than that. Harry Kane doesn't annoy me so much. It's just the fact Harry Kane scoring is inevitable. Like it's just like if it, like there was one goal that he bent it. Like, I think he went down to 10 men and he bent it into the far corner, and everyone in the pub was going, "Oh, for God's sake!" And I'm like, "Well, it's Harry Kane. Like he's that good." Annoyed.
Eric Lamela.
Eric, it's got to be Eric Lamela, surely.
No, because
because again,
because Lamela is crap. That's why they don't hate him.
He scores a Rabona, and it's like, oh bastard, and then he gets sent off. And he's like, oh bastard, like he's one of those players who like when he sold Bale, and he was like the crown jewel. He was the lad he spent the most money on, even though Eriksen turned out to be fantastic. But like it was like, well, why doesn't he play like that every week? Yeah. You know, like he probably annoyed G more in North London derbies than he did us. Because it's like, well, why doesn't he play like that every week? He's supremely talented, but just never put in the work. Probably Vertonghen.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, just because he's a snide fucker. Like he's the lad that goes. He's the one. Like it's not the other centre back that was beside him. He's still there now. That's him. Yeah, like Alderweireld was almost like Vertonghen's butler, where it's like Alderweireld would go out and do everything, and Vertonghen would just sit there and go, right, you go there, you go there, and then the corners would come in, and Vertonghen would go, right, you're not getting the ball, dude. You know, like he's one of those lads that just does all the dirty stuff, all the stuff that you need a really good centre back to do, and gets away with it every time. Then we get a corner, goes in, our lad goes for a header, and he's just immediately chopped out of the air by a nudge from Vertonghen. It's like, he's done it again, the bastard. Like he's one of those lads. Like, but he's not got that reputation, which makes it so annoying. Like if Højbjerg does it, well, it's Højbjerg. Like, of course he has.
Whoa, we have no criticism on Højbjerg.
That's criticism. That's not the criticism. Like I would.
No Højbjerg slander is welcome here.
No, like Højbjerg in Arsenal's midfield right now would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's needed.
Absolutely fantastic, to be fair. Oh no, it's not a criticism. Arsenal have been missing that for 10, 15 years. You know, like we've brought in the Borussia Mönchengladbach captain, the Valencia captain, and the Lyon captain, all within a year, at ages of 22 and 23. Granit Xhaka, Shkodran Mustafi, and Alexander Lacazette. How's that worked? Like, you know, you can buy in players that call themselves captains and call themselves leaders, but you can't buy players like Højbjerg that just puts up his hand and goes, where's the scrap? I'm fighting. Are you coming with me or not?
Oh, you know, where's my shrine picture when you need it?
But you need players like that. You need players that'll stick it. We've got Kieran Tierney, that's the first player that's in a decade and a half that does that for Arsenal, where he's not Granit Xhaka, where he runs away from fights. Tierney would get his head in the middle of it and go, oi, are you kicking our young lad? Kick me next. I'll start something. Like, those are the lads we've been missing. That's why we've had, you know, not trouble, because we don't lose that often at Burnley or Stoke, but there is that blueprint of how to play Arsenal. You get in their faces. You upset them. You make them uncomfortable. You put them off their stride. And you can't do that against this Tottenham, because they'll just batter you. You know, they haven't got many, you know, superior skill set, but that's one of them. You can't outfight them. You can't outmuscle them. If they turn up and they care, they will walk all over you if they want. So that's what Arsenal needs. Arsenal need a lot more players like Vertonghen, like, you know, Højbjerg. And if they get that little bit of steel and then add a Saka and a Smith Rowe and etc. to that, then Arsenal can start talking about maybe we're back. Till then, we're sixth.
Okay, well, that's good. Next slide, please, Shan. Question 3 to all. I have represented all the above clubs. Who am I? Again, play along at home. Put your guess in the comments. Let's have a look.
What is the third one? Next to the Spurs. Chesterfield. Okay.
Chesterfield. Yeah.
And that's one player.
Yeah, and there could be loan deals as well.
Is this in order?
Yeah.
Is it?
Lord.
So he represented all those clubs, and he's been on loan at some of them as well.
It's not added by order, is it?
I think I know. I do think I know.
Go on then. Say.
Go on.
I think is it Jamie O'Hara?
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Really?
So Jamie O'Hara started at Arsenal's academy, joined Spurs academy, broke through at Spurs, went on loan at Chesterfield and Millwall, joined Portsmouth, then went to Wolves, Blackpool, and then obviously Fulham, and ended up at Gillingham. Now he's at Billericay as manager, I believe.
And on Sky Sports, and he quite a lot.
Yeah, so that is Jamie O'Hara's career, basically.
You do forget, like, when you were my age, you do forget that Portsmouth, Wolves, well, Wolves obviously, but Portsmouth and Blackpool were Premier League clubs 10 years ago. And you're like, of course, that's why, because you look at O'Hara there and you're like, when was he in the second division or third division with Portsmouth? Like, oh, no, wait, he was in the Premier League. You know, like it's mad how some clubs, even Fulham, I suppose, at the time as well, it's how some clubs just, you know, fall through the cracks in your memory like that. But
it is terrible, though, to be fair.
There is that.
Very impressive, HG. Very impressive there. Quite quick, to be fair.
Yeah, I see a comment from Sam. Sam, I said it before you wrote it, mate.
What's he written?
Well, no, he put O'Hara question mark, but I saw it come up after I'd said it. And that is the God's honest truth.
To be fair, HD did say that before the comment came up, so the stream might be a little bit behind.
Well, there you go.
Fair play.
Shaq, next slide, please.
I'll beat you to it.
To the cheese room. Your favourite North London goal and what? Right, I'll go first.
Easy.
Harry Kane, Zorro mask. No contest. We only drew the game. That was the disappointment. But, you know, what a goal. It's just such a good goal. That's absolutely mine. Shan, you can go next.
It's Danny Rose's debut screamer for me. What a goal. And we actually won the game. What was it, 5-2?
Can we get Stephen's thoughts on each guest?
Well, Harry Kane's goal was a screamer. If you watch Danny Rose's goal, Manuel Almunia dives and yet gravity decides, nah, mate, you're grand. And he just falls over like that. And the ball goes halfway in the net. And it's like, of course the debut lad has scored. Yeah, but that was a precedent of things to come from Manuel Almunia's time at the club.
We love it. We loved it.
Of course.
HG?
Oh, it's really difficult because every one of them is great for various reasons. Probably, this is going to be weird. I think the first North London derby goal I ever saw live, because I'd never been to a North London derby before, and it was 92. Paul Allen scored at home against Arsenal. We beat 1-0. And I was at the other end of the ground, but I remember thinking, holy shit, this is football, right? Like I was 14. And
I was 10.
Yeah, you're a young'un, and that one's always stuck in my mind. And there are just so many, and it's not just the recent ones. You know, it's not just when we were winning, like the game where we beat them 2-1 at home, and I think Lennon and Bale scored very quickly, pretty much a similar goal. That one all stuck in my mind because you just having grown up in the 90s and the thousands and not expecting anything from those games, right? Ever. You know, it wasn't as if we dreamed of a win. We dreamed of not losing in that era. And so, any goal now seems to just feel amazing. I mean, even Lamella's Rabona last year.
That was an amazing goal, though, HG.
It was an amazing goal. Yeah, no, it was an amazing goal. Absolutely amazing. No one could believe he did it, including all Spurs fans. So it's just, it was an amazing goal. But I don't know. I think the Paul Allen one will stick out to me because it was football. That's when I learned what it meant.
Cool. Cookie?
Yeah, I think the Kane with the mask is not the obvious one, but I've got another one that sticks in my mind. That's Dele's goal at the Emirates in the League Cup when Kane just plays it over the top and he just dinks it and just lifts it over the keeper into the end runs off into the Spurs fans in that corner. I don't know if he was there, Stephen, that day or he was watching.
No, I was definitely watching it and swearing profusely as he waltzed off.
I think Dele's another one that does wind up Arsenal fans. A lot of my Arsenal friends can't stand Dele Alli. For some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. I genuinely don't get that. Like he's a really good player. He hasn't developed, which is a pity. Half, I suppose, just because Pochettino kept playing him in the same place for 3 years and just asked him to run. You know, and his job was get into the box and score, and that's what he did. And then now he's asked to play centre mid and he can't. Like it's, you know, what do you do with him? You know, it's not Jack Wilshere with us, but I suppose it's getting there. Hopefully, like, if he can get full season playing box to box at Tottenham and getting the ball to Kane and Son a bit, it might kick him on a bit. Because no matter what people say, there's still room for one really good midfielder in that England midfield. You know, if we're still going to be picking Jordan Henderson in 3 years, we're fucked in Qatar. But I suppose, like, I've got a few. I mean, if I wanted to be a prick, I'd say Robbie Keane's penalty in the last minute in 2004. For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It's Rosicky in the League Cup comes to mind. Just an absolute ping. Adebayor's volley in the 94th minute, where he just flicked it up and just like effortlessly thrashed it into the corner. And we're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this lad's good. Like, this lad's actually really good. And then he proved it by being sold. But honestly, my favorite one, because of where I was in the Tollington, and after we'd scored the first goal, it was a 3-0 in 2008. And we hadn't even finished putting the point down from celebrating the first one until we heard Sam Harris on the squad. Fabregas is in again. It's 2, and we're like, "What? Fuck 2?" And it's like, "Yeah, we scored again." And Andy Graham go, "What are they doing? What are they doing?" He's just literally just robbed the ball from the kickoff and scored, as if he was playing with 7-year-olds, And it's just like the atmosphere in the pub, like, we couldn't believe it, because it was an awful game, and then suddenly we're 2-0 up. And it's there's so many fantastic goals that you pick out. Bale got one where he played left back one night and just sauntered through the Arsenal midfield and put one in the far corner. I think that might have been the 2-1 where Lennon got the first.
Rafael van der Vaart as well got a good couple of goals against Arsenal as well, didn't he?
And look, Gaz's free kick. I know that the picture is there, but fuck me. Like, what can you do? For a team that was set up to win 1-0, as Arsenal were in that time, Gascoigne goes, 30 yards out, straight in the top corner. Two goalkeepers don't save it. Two goalkeepers don't save it. It's a magnificent free kick, and then you feel sad, because it's like, Jesus, if Gaza could have just stayed a little bit on the straight and narrow for 2 or 3 years, if he'd stayed at Tottenham, what if someone had just got a hold of him and just said, "Look, calm down. Just if you could just a touch, not much, because you can't take the genius out of the player, but just a touch, keep him in Tottenham." God knows what he could have done. So yeah, that's a short list.
What are you saying? What are you laughing at, HG?
I'm laughing at this. I don't want to admit this on camera, but I'm laughing at this. I know David's got the name wrong, and the guy was called Stephen Bradbury rather than Bradley, but it was a good effort nonetheless, and it was funny.
The one thing wrong about having my name, Stephen Bradley, is that the Shamrock Rovers manager, Shamrock Rovers being the best team in Ireland right now, is also Stephen Bradley. So every time Shamrock Rovers lose, my Twitter just blows up. Every time. Get that cunt out of the club. This bastard's a cheat. And then the one and it's like, oh, for God's sake. So yeah. So that's going around. The only thing I do on a nice drink is fall through it, thanks to this yoke here. So yeah, but
obviously the favourite goal is the next one, right? I mean, that's the dream. The favourite one should always be the next one.
Harry Kane. So, Jan, next slide, please. Question to Stephen. Put these in order as an all-round defender and captain. Is that a leading question?
Sorry, I just need to go and be sick. Cookie, what are you doing? What are you doing putting this guy on?
What is he doing?
Could you not find a picture of Judas?
I just want to see. I want to see the reality is he left and went to them lot, and I still think Ledley King was the better defender all round. I just want to see what Stephen thinks.
Just a better human being all round, but I give to Stephen. Go on.
Look, one of them had a better choice in where he wanted to live. Let's put it that way for a start. But I genuinely think the only difference between Sol Campbell and Ledley King was 2 jars of cartilage.
Yeah,
that's it. I think that's it. I think Ledley King was an unbelievably talented centre-back. He just couldn't train. And Sol Campbell's appearance in 2003, just to get that Arsenal team that was full of arrogant sons of bitches as it was. The Bergkamps, the Henrys, the Pireses. They needed the Ashley Coles. Like, they needed someone else to come in and not drag them to another title, but to go, oh, this club's actually trying. This club's actually gone and got him. They've gone and got, you can, not that it's a little bit like what United have done with Ronaldo. They haven't bought the player, they've bought the name. They bought the name in so that hopefully for them, Rashford, Greenwood, and Sancho kick on because they're so enamored by getting to train every day with Cristiano bleeping Ronaldo. And Arsenal bringing in Sol Campbell, one of the world's greatest defenders, best rated defenders. The 2002 World Cup team of the World Cup was Rio Ferdinand and Sol Campbell at centre back. So you're bringing in someone of world class pedigree for nothing, And it was Wenger saying, look, yes, I am prepared to spend on money when I can get a big player. Here's your big player. And then suddenly that team goes on, right, okay, let's mean business. And they go on one of the greatest 3-year runs in the history of football. Losing one game away from home in 3 league seasons. Like, it's just... So that, I think Sol Campbell is Ledley King's ceiling, if you know what I mean. Now, could Ledley King have been better than him if he had 2 healthy knees and a proper team built around him? Yes, he could have, but he didn't.
Yeah, I think most Spurs fans, if they're honest with themselves, if Ledley did have those cartilages, he'd have left Spurs probably in his early to mid-20s and gone and played for whoever he wanted to. Thankfully, we know he wouldn't have gone to Arsenal, but he would have gone to a team that was more likely to win things. That Spurs, although he won the League Cup with us in 2008. That he could have gone further. Like I think everyone knows that deep down.
Best defender I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. He was miles better than Campbell. He
I agree.
Was a better all-round footballer than Campbell, in my opinion. And obviously he had a shred of decency about him, which helped. Sorry, Cookie.
You're just saying. I'm surprised we haven't got the "I met Ledley King" line in there yet.
I've got a tattoo on my arse, Chad.
Have you met Ledley King? Have you met Ledley King, Caller?
It just happens that I did. But,
Do you know who's better, though, Caller? Gary Mabbott, and that's all I'm saying.
Gary Mabbott, one more.
Yeah, it did.
But it's all about fits in different teams. Like Ledley King was a good fit for that Tottenham team because it didn't need an arrogant fecker. Like we've seen Sol Campbell in later life. We know what kind of man he is. He doesn't give a shit about anyone but himself. That works in certain dressing rooms. It worked in ours. It was perfect for ours. One with Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp and Robert Pires and Ashley Cole and Patrick Vieira. Men who thought the most of themselves. That it's that line with Zlatan, where it's the line between confidence and arrogance. And it's like, oh, they're arrogant feckers. It's like, well, no, they're arrogant because they're right. Like they think they're that good because they are. And Campbell thought that he was that good because he was. And he goes into a dressing room like Arsenal and he's surrounded by men just like him and suddenly he's playing better. So it's one of those situations where King never had a team half as good as the team Campbell had when he went to Arsenal in 2002. Not even close, because no one really did at that time. And King in that system might not have played well just because he might not have been the character. But that doesn't mean he's not as good a player. When you need a quiet leader going in because you've got like King would be a perfect centre back for you now, just to sit in the middle and go and just shut up and clear everything and let Højbjerg in front of him be the leader, be the vocal leader, and then everything goes wrong. King just sticks his foot in. I've got this, lads. Don't worry. You need lads like that as well, and King would be perfect for that today. So Campbell was the perfect man for that Arsenal 2002 side. King would be the perfect man for this Tottenham 2021 side.
Okay.
Like that hurts me in both ways. I don't want to think that Campbell was good for you, and I don't want to think that we need King now. Even though I know it, I'm like, it still stings.
Get this slide off the string. So, Chan, can we just move it along, please? It's hurting me every time I see it. John's made a good point. There's 90 people watching, 25 likes. Come on, guys, give us a like. To the choosing one of our own. Ooh, Smith Rowe getting the current Spurs side. HG, you take that.
If we're playing 4-2-3-1, yes, but we don't, so probably not. Like I like Smith Rowe a lot. I think he's a really good footballer. He's very ugly, but you should hold that against him. He not is your really. Oh. So yeah, look, Smith Rowe, what is he? 20, 21, Stephen? He's young. He's 2-footed. He's happy to take the ball on the turn. He makes good decisions. He is a very good player. Whether he gets in our best 11, I don't think so. Just because of how we play, I'm not too sure. But he'd certainly be one of the first few options off the bench for me.
It's a weird one because Ndombele was an absolute monster at Lyon. And does he get into your best 11?
He gets into mine, but that's because the best 11 for Spurs right now is a 3-4-3. And in that case, he has the extra protection behind him. He'd have Højbjerg next to him, but then you could have Kane and Son, and for me probably Bergwijn as the front three. So it is kind of horses for courses. But our midfield isn't particularly strong. certainly not strong enough to handle just having two, unless you've got three centre backs behind you. So it's if our defence had played more together, because they're all still, getting to know each other a bit, then maybe you could handle it. But I just think for Spurs right now, like we can play four at the back, but we'd have to play Tanganga, and he's a right back who doesn't really like to do anything apart from defend. And I just think that, if we had a stronger spine, then you could have Smith Rowe in the side. We don't, so he wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's almost the same for us.
Yeah,
in a way, so.
Chan, what's your view? Would you have him?
Yeah, I think we need a player like Smith Rowe, but like HG said, the way we play and the way we set up, probably not. We're crying out for a creative midfielder, and I'd love a player like Smith Rowe in our squad, but the way we play, he wouldn't get a game. So not at the minute, not under Nuno.
Do you know what Emile Smith Rowe's biggest problem is?
Go on.
Bukayo Saka. Because Saka gets all the attention and he's unbelievable, right? And if you're talking about a lad that Tottenham would want out of the Arsenal side, it's him. Because I'll let you dream of a Son, Kane, Saka front three. Like, there's your creative midfielder. There's your man that can play in across the line so that Kane can drop back as a 10 and Son can run in behind the back lane. And then suddenly you've got a front three that works together. Because Saka can play anywhere, as we've shown, playing him left back and right back last year, for God's sake. Like, Smith Rowe, because he's really good, but because he's not as good as Saka, he kind of gets looked down upon because he's not as good as Saka. But if Saka wasn't there, he'd be the crown jewel of the Arsenal of Hale End. He'd be the crown jewel of the academy, and it'd be like, he's really good. We're going to get him through. We're going to get him into more positions where he can flourish. But because we've got Saka to play, because now we've got Odegaard to play as well, now he's becoming the third man. He's becoming the man that has to fit in somewhere. He's becoming the Dele Alli. When you had three up front with, he's becoming the man that has to play where he's not really comfortable and continually adapt, and as a result doesn't really get comfortable in one position. So he's really good. I didn't want, to sell him to Aston Villa for 35, 40 million. Is he worth that? Maybe.
The jury's out, really.
The jury's out. Sorry, he's 21.
21, yeah, still very young.
So, there's room to grow. He's got every skill in the book. He's wonderful on the ball. He's two-footed. Like, I know Martin Tyler keeps calling him the Croydon De Bruyne, which is, like, Kevin De Bruyne is the best centre midfielder I've seen in years. Like, it's ridiculous how good he is.
Would you swap him for Tongi and Ndombele?
No way, no chance.
Last year would have snapped your hand off. Now, no. But like I said, Ndombele is one of those players, like, you need to put him in a specific system to work, like HG was saying a few minutes ago. Like, he needs to be the creative hub. He needs everything to run through him, and Spurs aren't going to play that way. Just because no big team plays that way unless you've got, Messi or Ronaldo. So it's more of a case of, can Ndombele fit in the way Spurs want to play than the other way around? And, as we're seeing with Pepe, same problem. Pepe had a full team built around him at Lille, and you plug him into a team that doesn't exactly play the way he wants to play, and suddenly Pepe looks average. Like, it's, we have to be careful with some players that we bring in from a foreign league, not because it's a foreign league, but just because they're coming to a club where they're not going to get the ball as much, because that club has other magnificent players with it too.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Cookie?
No, I don't think so. I want to see Ndombele do the creative side of stuff for us. I want to see Bryan Hill more involved, putting in some more strings for us. So for me, I wouldn't take.
There's a lot of Hill love floating around now.
I wouldn't take Smith Rowe at Tottenham at the moment. No.
You familiar with Bryan Hill yet, Stephen?
Bits and pieces. I mean, we saw him at Sevilla last year. He's a talent, but you're playing him you're almost half playing him as a centre mid as well at the moment, are you? I think you're trying to figure out the best position for him. Like, it's one of those ones where that he might have been bought not for the future per se, where it's like he was definitely bought to play right wing, and when you've got Bergwijn and Lucas Moura, you're like, well, we're grand there for a little while. We can play him, just get him used to the speed of the league more than anything. Get him used to, and then next year bring him through, and then he can become, an integral part of the team. But Lucas is out, Berwin, I think, is out as well. Suddenly it's like, no, we need you now, mate. Get in. And it's like, it's a little bit unfair on him. But if the alternative is playing Kane at left wing and Son centre forward because you want to mark Thiago Silva out of the game, then I'd rather play Bryan Hill, frankly.
I think Bryan Hill's been bought as Sonny's long-term replacement because his best position is on the left of the three. He can play through the middle and he can play on the right, but I think his best position and where we've seen his best has been when he's been playing on the left. Obviously, Sonny's our oldest outfield player now. He's only 29, but he's still got a good few years ahead of him. But I do think Hill's been brought in to give us more options. But with him playing across the front three, and just behind the striker, he's one that we can use wherever we sort of need him.
Yeah, and he's clearly shown to be a better squad player than Lamela ever was already. Precisely because he can do those things. Stephen's right. We had him in central midfield when we played at Rennes. He didn't play there long because Bergwijn got injured, so then he went out to the left, and then I think by the end of the game he was on the right.
Can he hit a Rabona?
Well, yeah,
probably.
Can he do two things? Can he do more than two good things in 8 years?
Yeah,
and
yes, I suspect
we don't
he can.
need to do a Rabona.
He tackled Traore 3 times as well.
Absolutely. So he's only 20. Hill. He's still really young, but I think a lot of Spurs fans are hopeful that he will become something special. And you're right, because of the injuries we have, he may well play on Sunday. But
right,
we're happy.
Question to Stephen. This is a good one, Cookie. I like this. How many more slides are left, by the way?
About 3 or 4.
Okay.
Oh, lovely.
Would Oliver Skipp get in the current side?
No.
Really? I think he would.
This the Skipp.
No. He's a decent player, right? But right now, Arsenal need one of two things at defensive midfielder. One, Thomas Partey to be fit. We're waiting 15 months. Hopefully, he's over this ankle injury that he's picked up 3 weeks ago, and he'll start developing. But 2, we need someone that can run with the ball. Xhaka isn't that. Partey can be that. Like, Arsenal haven't had a properly good midfielder in the middle since Santi Cazorla. Like, that's how far back we're waiting. So Skipp is grand, but Skipp needs at least another yard of pace, at least acceleration, before we think of replacing him with Xhaka. Like, it's because of the way Arsenal want to play. Mikel Arteta wants his midfield 3 to be fluid. It's why we're trying to play Martin Odegaard at 8. They want as many really quick, really high pressure midfielders in there as possible. And Skipp's not there yet. And Arsenal have enough midfielders, unfortunately, at the club who are also not there yet. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Mohamed El-Neni, Granit Xhaka. Like, Skipp has definitely the ceiling to go up there, but is he there yet? For me, no.
Okay. Good stuff. Next slide. Oh
my God.
How many appearances did William Gallas make for both Spurs and Arsenal combined? Okay. Shan, what we're going for then? 165, 220, or 286?
Oh, he's another one that used to get injured a lot, isn't he?
No, he wouldn't do.
No, not really. No, he played a lot for us. He played
a lot for us too. I think. Go on, Shan. Come on, give us your guess. A, B, or C?
I'm going to go C.
286. Okay. Yeah.
See, I think it's B. I think he only had 2 seasons at Spurs, which could get you, 70, 80 games maybe. And he was at Chelsea before Arsenal, so I probably would go B.
Yeah.
Cookie, you don't get a bet. Steve?
I think B, and if people were wondering, why is the Arsenal fan sitting back in his chair when an Arsenal player comes up? He's wearing 10. Number 1. Okay? Imagine going into Arsenal, Dennis Bergkamp retires, and you're like, can I have his number, please? Just let that sit for a second, right? Number 2, look what he's doing. We all know that game. Mm-hmm. I know that game. You know the game. That's the game Arsenal won the league, lost the league in 2009 when Eduardo got his leg shattered into 27 pieces by a call center operative from Dunfermline. And and 3, he's captain. Like, so, that's it. That you want to picture why Arsenal have been, league contenders for 15 years? There it is, right there. Happy days. So B, Yeah, it should be A. I wish it was less than that again, but yeah, I fear for my sanity it was B.
Cookie.
Yeah, the correct answer is B. It says 142 games for Arsenal and 78 games for Spurs.
Yeah, 143 too many. 5 million and William Gallas for Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that was missing from that robbery was the bill, like, literally the theme tune. Did it. That's all it was.
I'd say is Stephen, if you're calling the bill on that, what the hell are we calling on Judas?
Well, you see, he was a free agent then. He literally walked out.
So what makes it worse?
Yes, exactly. Which is fair. It's not like us selling Van Persie to Manchester United, because the key word there is selling. He had 1 year left in his contract. We're like, okay, Juventus have offered us 8 million, and then Manchester United come in and go, look, we know you're not going to sell us to him, but we're bidding for him because if his ankle can stay fit, he might win us the league by himself. So here's 20. And we're like, okay, we'll take a gamble. We don't think his ankle is going to be fit. He won't win the league by himself. And then he goes and wins the league by himself. The
parallels between what you just described and selling Kane to Man City, dodgy ankles, win the league for a Manchester team. I mean, he had 3 years left with us rather than 1. But I spent all summer saying we should never ever consider selling him to City, even if they were offering ridiculous money, which thankfully they never did. The Van Persie story, basically, there were lots of Spurs supporters called David Harris who were convinced that Kane's going to do his ankle and it'll be useless and we should sell now. If the ankle holds up, then it would be the worst thing ever to give away your best player, the best striker you've had for 50 years to a team that in theory you're trying to beat, right? I mean, that's just it. It would have been awful.
But the moment, and like I said, the moment it changed with Van Persie to Arsenal was when he wrote that letter, where he's like, look, I'm appealing to your good sides. And we're like, we're football fans. We don't have good sides. As soon as he decided that my club wasn't the only place he wanted to be, I didn't give a shit about him. I called him a traitor. I called him everything, because he's supposed to have total love for something he has no emotional bearing on. That's just how we react as football fans. And it's the same. With Kane, as soon as he goes on that golf trip with Gary Neville, and Neville asks him, "Do you want to stay at Tottenham for the rest of your life?" Every Tottenham fan is not going to take any answer other than yes. Anything else is a betrayal. Anything else is disloyal. Anything else is, even though maybe some rational people will say he's given us enough. If we get a lot of money for him and we can use that money to buy 4 or 5 really good players, like what Aston Villa did with Jack Grealish, if we can rebuild that and get better, then okay, it'll dull the blow a bit. But once Kane comes out and says, "I'd like out, please," you can't put the genie back in the bottle. He can't
Sorry, I mean the thing with the Kane situation is that because Levy was involved, for a lot of Spurs fans, Kane could do no wrong. The only reason Kane wants to go is because Levy's this and Levy's that, and so as much as he is the bad guy to some Spurs fans, to other Spurs fans, he's not. He's only going because of our mistakes, because of Levy's mistakes, rather than the fact that he's 28 and he wants to win stuff. The idea that, I mean, he could have won the Champions League with Spurs 2 seasons ago and then left, just like you saw with the Leicester team. They won what they could, and then they buggered off. It feels very naive to me to think that just because we hate, lots of Spurs fans hate a different person more, that we should judge Kane differently. Kane wanted to go because it was best for Kane. That's it, regardless of what was going on at Spurs.
Next slide, please.
Oh, how much do you want to stain the cheese from, Cookie? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
That's Steve Diver's view from his toilet, isn't it?
It actually is.
Give him some extra motivation first thing in the morning, I suppose.
We have a friend of ours, Stephen, who is a Spurs fan, but he lives literally next to the Emirates, and from his balcony he can look out into the stadium, overlooking. Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer.
You could honestly throw a hog roast onto the pitch from where he is, which with Steve, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
I thought you were going to say he could throw a stone at one of the windows, but he's clearly missed by this picture anyway.
To be honest, no one would bother with that old antiquated stadium these days.
Oh, jeepers Christ!
Yeah. So, favourite goal scored at the Emirates, Shan. What are you saying about that?
Oh,
There's not been that many. Sadly.
Not with that many
No.
goals. That's the problem. Cookie,
I'm
he's
trying
right.
Yeah.
These things.
it's got to be Eric Lamella's Rabona. I think it.
Yeah, Lamella's Rabona. That's a good one. I'd say.
I'm going Campbell. The 3-2 comeback for me
Okay.
because it meant something. It actually meant something at the end of it.
Yeah.
HG.
That's
Aaron Lenner's equaliser in the 4-4.
Yeah, that's a good
As
one.
much as Bentley's goal was better, and even Genius's was a really good goal. For us, it's probably very similar to what Stephen talked about with those two Arsenal games. The two Arsenal goals in the same game, and when we got those two goals at the end of that game, it felt like, yeah, we've scored twice. I mean, one felt like a consolation, but to do it again, that Lennon goal was incredible.
I've got a question for you all. How many times have we won at the Emirates since it's been built?
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
twice, isn't it?
Twice. Yeah, that's right. I think.
So cooler.
In such an old, antiquated stadium like the Emirates, you've only won twice. What a shame and a pity that is.
Cooler, it sounded as if you didn't know the answer, mate. So you're asking the question, and we gave you the answer, and you're like, "Oh, 2. Write it down for later." Like you had no idea how many times we'd won there.
I did.
You were thinking it was 1, wasn't you? You thought it was only 1, and you'd forgotten about the League Cup thing.
I did think.
How
it was
many
only one,
times? How many times though has it gone wrong there? You know, where we've been in the league,
Well,
or been in the game.
this is where I'm going to, Cookie. I'm glad you brought it up because what's the we've got to give a score prediction shortly. It's are there any more slides, by the way, Shan?
Yeah, a couple more.
Oh fuck me, there's more. We'll come back to predictions. Go on then, next slide. Summer transfers: Ben White or Christian Romero? Oh, easy, Christian Romero.
Yeah,
Ben
Christian
White is the
Romero.
pulling the pants down of the decade. I can't believe they spunk 50 million quid on him. Steve, you'll absolutely get your say. I'm going to come to you last on this one, so you can have a listen to Sham first.
Yeah, it's Christian Romero, 100%. Christian Romero, Serie A Defender of the Year, just won the Copa America, was a pivotal part in the Argentina squad over the summer. He cost what, 47 million euro plus add-ons? 100% is Christian Romero the better signing for me. You've spent 50 mil on Ben White, who played at Brighton and conceded a load of goals last season. Can't get into the England squad. So
Average defender, but very overhyped in my opinion. But
I mean, he's got good hair. I'll give him that.
good hair.
He
Maybe
And he makes a good
He won't in a
meme
year
as
or
well,
two.
after the friendly as well, when obviously Spurs beat Arsenal in the last game of the Mine series, the memes where it was North London is a picture of Ben White and his shirt on the back. So he makes a good meme, and that's about all he's good for, I think. HG.
HG.
To me, the biggest shock about it was that he actually chose to go to Arsenal. I mean, Ben White. I mean, and that's not to do Arsenal down too much, but Ben White, being the up and coming English centre back that he is, probably could have done another year at Brighton and gone somewhere else. If I'm honest, he could have gone to Liverpool. He could have gone to a Manchester City. It felt like it was that he made the jump maybe too early because. And granted, he probably signed a 4 or 5 year deal. He can do 4 years at Arsenal and then go to a really big side. Not that I consider Spurs to be that, but it just seemed, I don't know, it seemed a weird choice for me. I think Romero is probably the better player, but to me, the biggest thing was why did he go to Arsenal anyway? Is he an Arsenal fan, Stephen?
Nope.
So you'd have had, just to summarise that, HG, you'd have had Romero.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Good. Cookie.
Yeah, Romero for me. I think once he settles down, gets a natural centre back partnership going, I think he'll be an absolute beast for Tottenham. Better signing all day long for me.
He's
Right,
shown some
Steve.
really, really good signs as well. Like he likes to carry the ball forward.
He's
I think
he's a monster.
he got spun a couple of times against Wolves towards the end, but I think he'll be a really good signing.
Stephen, you can
Yeah, like Romero had the better form at Atalanta last year. Like he was unbelievable, as was most of the team was. Ben White, it's two things. One, he's English. Arsenal were right up to the limit of non-homegrown players. So the fact that he's got a little English flag beside him, if you play Football Manager, you always end up paying 10, 15 million extra for that because you forget at the end of the season, oh, bloody hell, I've only got 7 homegrown players instead of 8. Like, that's in it. Like, it's why United spent about 20, 30 million on Paul Pogba the second time than they should have, because he's homegrown. He counts as an Englishman for them. So there's that. He's better on the ball than Romero, just as a passer. As a dribbler, maybe Romero's a little bit better, but again, it's fit. Like I was talking about with the centre-back that I won't mention again. It's fit for Arsenal. Like, Arsenal want a defender who is really good at making those 60-yard passes and good on the ball. They want a 23-year-old David Luiz. Now, if he's 80% of that, fine, happy days. But that's what they want. And their statistics, their shows, like Ben White was brilliant for Leeds. Never mind Brighton. When Bielsa's first season at Leeds, Ben White was playing almost like Franz Beckenbauer. He was up and down he was playing almost centre mid at times. So there is a lot of promise there. Can he work in a back four? Can Romero work in a back four? They both had successes in back fives. So there's a lot of risk in both of them. If you wanted, like, right now, success, you take Romero. In 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben White was the better player.
Well, I think it would take. How old's Romero and how old's Ben White?
Romero's 23.
Yeah, they're the same age.
Yeah,
23 and 23. Well, I think they could play the next 40 years and Romero would still be a better player. So,
maybe. It might happen. Like, Romero's really good. Like, there's
no in the Sunday League when I'm at 80 and Romero will still get the better of Ben White.
I think it's going to be brilliant.
Chan.
Huh? Next slide. Sorry.
I mean, of all the PAs I've had, you're the best. Question 11, Stephen. Amsterdam 2019. Were you watching and what did you think when Lucas won it? That's a good question.
My job is I'm a radio producer. I work on a sports show, so I try and keep in touch with as much football and sport as I can. And this was fantastic. Like, especially with Moore scoring the third with his left, and you're like, lads. Like, it was just football again. And it's one of those situations where it's like, can they repeat that? Like, it's almost like, right, they can do that. They can be behind. They're not, falling behind to that same mindset that we've all had about Tottenham before, where they get into a big moment like that and they crack. 2016 league run in, etc., where they get into a position where they can get 2 hands on a trophy and they choke. And yet here they were 5 minutes to go and suddenly they've bang, bang, bang and it's over. And you're like, will they get over that? Is that the moment where this Tottenham side grows up, where it goes from title challenger to actual, no, we're here now. We know how to win the big games. We've got the experience. And then the final happens and Liverpool, they don't walk all over them, but Tottenham just don't show up. And it's almost like they never get over that. It's almost like once they'd won the semi-final and then didn't win the final after that, it's almost like most of them went, well, Jesus, if we're not going to win after that, when are we going to win? It's a tricky one. So at the time, like I said, fair play to them. Like, it's one of those awards where it's like, oh, bastards, but brilliant. It's just football. It's like all you can do is really applaud it. Like, you're like, oh, for God's sake, how have they done that? The jammy jam. But you're laughing to yourself into your point, going, that was great to watch. Did you see that? Yeah. So it's what do you do? It's sometimes you just go hold your hand up and go, yeah, well done. It's so, yeah. But Lucas hasn't been the same player since.
Well, or before.
I mean, he had one good game.
Maybe.
I think that it's weird because I think it was the end of 3 nights of incredible football. Because I think, Man City beat Leicester to win the title pretty much on the Monday night. And then it was Liverpool-Barcelona the Tuesday night. And that happened Wednesday. I can't remember 3 nights of football like that. Like, it was the 3 nights of football where like, my wife's American, Stephen, and her family have no clue about soccer, right?
Yeah.
They really don't know. Those are the games you'd want to show them and be like, look, this is what it is. It doesn't happen every game, but when it does, it stays with you forever. And so the Amsterdam thing, it was just, I felt like every single night it just got better and better. It was fun to watch football, no matter who the teams were.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, next slide. Is there next? Okay.
Gosh.
It's the PowerPoint that just goes on forever.
No, that's it.
More slides, are
I
there?
think that's one more.
Fucking hell, there's always one more. Who was the better long-haired Frenchman? Oh, well, that's a good question. Shan, what are you saying?
It always gives it to Shan.
This is before my time, caller.
Really?
Yes. I
You
don't even
can't
think
be
I was
that
born when
young.
that kid was out. I
You
don't
shouldn't
think
be
so.
allowed to be that young. That's what I'm saying about that. I tell you. All right, let's come.
The
to
only one I know
HG then.
is that Robert Pires.
Yes.
Robert
I only
Pires,
know
yeah.
that because my dad's an Arsenal fan.
Right,
I
we're
was
gonna
about 5
bypass
years
you here.
old when he was playing football.
I feel sad for you. I'm going to bypass that. I mean, let's put it this way: if you like Højbjerg, you'd have loved Ginola. Right, HG, what are you saying?
Do I have to answer it? I think
yes,
Pires
yes,
was
you
a
have
better
to.
player. I think Pires was a better player. Yeah, I mean, yes, he was in a much better team, and so Ginola stood out as being the only thing that was good about that team in 98, 99. But yeah, Pires on his day. I mean, like he was plus like he was the Arsenal player who always scored against Tottenham, and yet I never hated him for it. I got annoyed, but as a player, I loved Pires. He was a quality player, so I will say him.
I hated him when he had that stupid long goatee beard. Right down there.
Yeah.
Looked like something out of D'Artagnan and the Three Muskehounds or whatever it was. The guy honestly can't stand him at all. So I can hate him for you, HG. That's what I'm leading to. Cookie, you wrote the question. What's your opinion?
So there's no denying that Pires had quality, but for me, Ginola won PFA Player of the Year and we came 14th in the league. There's not many players that can do that. So for me, Ginola was gods. Ginola was superb. I loved it. I loved watching him play. Fantastic player.
For me, Ginola was probably a better player, but I think, in reality, Pires was in a better team and a more consistent player.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Ginola had all the technical ability under the sun. He was a fantastic to watch player. But yeah, you'd have to say Pires had the better career. That's for sure. So in terms of who was better, Stephen, you're going to say Pires, I'm sure.
Well, I have to like David Ginola did win player of the year when Tottenham finished 14th. He did win it in 1999 when 6 Manchester United players split the vote between them because they won something that year. No one remembers it. But Pires won the 2002 Footballer of the Year in a knee brace because he won it by February and then he did his knee. Like Pires, Ginola's a weird one because I don't really picture Ginola in a Spurs shirt. I picture him in a Newcastle shirt. In my mind's eye, when I think Ginola, I think Newcastle. I don't think Spurs. And maybe that's me, but Pires, like, if you want the one goal that sums Pires up, go Google his goal against Villa away, where he dinks it over the defender, and then Schmeichel rushes it out, and he just dinks it over him too. And Andy Gray, the sexist pervert that he is, just stands up and he goes, "I'm applauding. That's genius. I don't care. I'm sorry." And he's just applauding live on air. Like, Pires doesn't get the credit he deserves because he was on a team that had Arsenal's best 2 players ever. And, when you go through the list of the Invincibles where you go, well, yeah, Henry was unbelievable. Dennis Bergkamp was unbelievable. Patrick Vieira was unbelievable. Ashley Cole, the best left back most of us ever seen. So, the centre back that can't be mentioned. And then you go, well, okay, maybe Robert Pires was the 6th best player in that team. You're like, what? He was the player of the year 2 years ago. How was he the 6th? That's how unbelievably good that side was. And Ginola stood out as a... Like, if Ginola today would be Alan St-Maximin. Same kind of player, French, technical, really skilled. A bit, yes, but bangs one in from 30 yards that we all see on Match of the Day. Goes, oh my God, that's unbelievable. And then if you talk to Newcastle fans, they'll go, yeah, the next 3 games he was rubbish. like we kind of have like a rose tinted glasses a little bit on Ginola just because we remember the good stuff he did. Yet he was so bad in so many games that Tottenham finished 14th. So it's one of those where Pires absolutely had the better career. Ginola had his moments where he was unplayable, but Pires had a season and a half.
Let's move on.
Just a fun fact, because I googled it. I was 3 years old when David Ginola signed for Spurs.
Oh, Shan, please.
3 years.
I was
old.
I was a little bit older than your daughter is now, caller. So
That is scary. Next slide, please.
oh, what have I done? Can you see? Oh, it's the same slide. What am I doing? Hang on. I'm
thinking it's the end of the slide deck.
No. Here we go.
There you go, caller. Finally.
Wow. Why don't we do the score prediction while we're here? So who will finish higher in the Premier League table this season, and who will win the weekend, and what will the score be? Please do drop your comments in the chat right now. We'll look for them and read the best ones out. Shan, let's go to you first. What do you think? We're going to finish above them in the league, and what's the score?
I think it'll probably be the same as last season, where we finished 7th and Arsenal finished 8th. I don't think there'll be much in it. I think that. Well, I was half expecting there to be a 0-0, and then Cody was like, "When was the last time there was a 0-0 in a London derby?" And I was like, "Okay, 2009." So I reckon it might be a 2-2. I reckon there'll be goals. We seem to be scoring a bit more now. We're just awful defensively. It's like we've turned the tables. We can score goals, but we can't keep them out. So yeah, I reckon it'll be 2-2.
2-2 and finishing above them in the league by a place. Okay, that's confidence for you. If anything was displayed as confidence, that is that. HG, what are you saying?
I think we'll lose tomorrow or on Sunday because it's Arsenal away. And so it just seems to happen. Last year they beat us. Neither side was particularly good then. They found a way. I just think that if Arsenal do have, the team that they could have out, then they have a more solid 11 than we do. You just never know. But higher in the table, it's like who finishes 17th or 18th. I don't really care. Maybe because I live abroad and I don't have Arsenal fans on a Monday morning giving me crap. I suspect
I'll get less voicemails.
Yeah, here you go. So I don't have any of that. So I will say Spurs will finish higher in the PL table, but I don't really care, if I'm honest. I care about Spurs progressing and getting better as a team and as a club more than if we finish higher than Arsenal or not.
Okay. Cookie?
I'm going 0-0. I must admit, I know Shane mentioned it. It's been a while since we've had a 0-0, but I think with Spurs scoring 3 league goals and Arsenal only scoring 2 league goals, I can't see it being a goal fest. I do think it'd be so tight. I think both teams and both managers are not going to want to lose the game. So I'm going to go 0-0. The only thing that breaks my prediction is Harry Kane scoring on Wednesday night. Now, I don't know if that's going to spur him on to score again on Sunday. But in my head, I'm going 0-0, and I think I'll take a point there, to be honest, because as HG said, it's a woeful ground for us historically. And it always goes wrong. We could be 2-0 up and still throw it away there. So I'll take a 0-0 draw and get out of there with a point. In terms of the table, I think similar to last season, I think we'll finish a place or 2 above them.
I think we're a better team. I mean, I'll come to you in a sec, Stephen, and see what you think. I'll be honest, I think we're a better team. I think we've got a better squad. I think we've got a better manager, and I think that's the key. I think Arteta is dreadful and will get fired this season. I can't see. North London derby's like a tallest dwarf.
I was just trying to get to that, and my mouse was somewhere else. So.
I love that. Look, I think they're both teams in transition. That's what I would say. It's who's further down the road, and even if we don't get a result Sunday, I still think Spurs will finish above Arsenal in the league. I think they are a better side in terms of the squads. I think we have a better coach. I think that holds Arsenal back a lot. I think the coach is bloody awful, to be honest. I think he's an absolute heart over head decision, and I still can't believe he's in a job. If I'm perfectly honest, as a manager from an outsider looking into Arsenal, whereas at least Nuno is a recognised coach who's actually done things in his career. So my view would be that I do think we will we'll probably finish like you say, 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and Arsenal will be below that. I would be surprised to see Arsenal above halfway because I don't think they're good enough. Simple as that.
Bottom half, yeah.
They'll be about 12th. I think they'll be about 12th, 11th, 12th. And I think Arteta. I think the secret is if their squad performed to its maximum, they'd be 7th, 6th, 7th. But I think Arteta is a problem, and he's got to go.
He hasn't got a go caller. He's got to sign up long term.
Unless you're a Spurs fan, in which case he can stay for.
We've got to trust the process, haven't we? We've got to trust the process.
Yeah, well, we'll come to all of that. Stephen, let's have your say, mate.
So I think it's going to be 0-0 too. I think both coaches are going to be a little bit cautious on this just because the reaction to either side losing is going to be awful. Like, Arteta he's not on borrowed time, but he certainly used up all his credit that he's got from winning the FA Cup. And the performances at the end of November nearly got him the sack. The kids have got him into not a safe spot, but losing to Chelsea is fine when Chelsea are the European Cup champions and they can swat away teams whenever they want. Losing to City, even with 10 men and even it's 5-0, it's fine. They're one of the most expensively arranged football teams ever assembled. Losing to Brentford ain't on. So if Arsenal lose to Tottenham on Sunday, suddenly it's played 6, 1-2, lost 4. And that's not on. And then if Spurs lose, then it's, what have they gained from beating City in the first game of the season? Nothing, because now Arsenal are beside them. So, the pressure's on both of them. So I wouldn't blame both of them for thinking, do you know what, we'll play on the counter, which means a crap game for the rest of us to watch. I think Arsenal will finish ahead of Tottenham. I actually think it's nothing to do with squad depth or anything. I think it's got to do factor with Tottenham are going to win the Europa Conference League, which means they're going to be playing every Thursday until May.
You have more confidence in Spurs than most Spurs fans.
No one has said that on here before. No one.
Right, but if they're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday from February until May, there's no chance that team finishes anywhere near 6th, 7th, 8th because they're going to be knackered. That's just the way it is. And when Liverpool nearly won the league, when Suarez carried them to second, and even though they conceded 53 goals, and then Chelsea won the league the following year, what was the thing in common? Neither of them had European football. And in a COVID hit season where players are picking up little niggly injuries left, right, and centre, playing Saturday 3 p.m., Saturday 3 p.m., Saturday 3 p.m. is going to be of huge benefit to Arsenal, not because they've got more time to coach, but because they've got more time to sit on their backsides and rest. And Arsenal will be able to pick their best 11, whatever it may be, 33, 34 times if everyone stays fit. Yeah, if everyone stays fit for Tottenham, how often would their best 11 play in the Premier League every Sunday? Would it be 24, 25? And that might be the difference between 6th and 9th or 10th.
Can't argue with that. That's a pretty fair point.
Would we take it to win a trophy?
It is a fair point. But all I took from that really that Spurs are going to win a trophy. So
I can't jinx it if I don't say it.
Finish 12th.
It's really
but look, Tottenham are the best side in that. So you will get teams dropping down from the Europa League, but imagine losing to Roma Tottenham final.
It will be.
It's going to happen.
It definitely will be. Yeah.
It's written in the stars. Look, Stephen, I want to know your view. Arteta, you hear a lot of the trust the process stuff, mainly from troops, if I'm honest. But the embarrassment.
An unbiased source.
Yeah. How far away from the sack is he? Because I've got to be honest, I'm amazed he's still in a job. The guy's clueless. From an outsider looking in, he is genuinely clueless. He's trying to be Pep Guardiola, and if you see what he's done, he's done nothing. The FA Cup run was a fluke. He's living off that glory, and he's still. How long has he got?
If they're in the same position this November where they were last November, he will be sacked. There's no doubt about it. November's form last year was atrocious. The football was atrocious. If there'd been a crowd there, he would have got sacked. And if Arsenal had won against Brentford, there might be a little bit more optimism. But this is the first big game, properly big game, that Arsenal go into against Tottenham since COVID.
Yeah.
And since the Super League and all that shenanigans, where there's still that hope, there's still that sense of, okay, maybe, but there's so much on the con side that if it is 2-0 after half an hour and we're playing shit, it could turn like that. It could turn in a heartbeat. And what's pretty much saving Arteta, maybe more than anything right now, is that there is no obvious successor. There's no one in the club that can go, right, him.
Conte?
Conte would be mad to take that job. Like, Conte goes into a club and he goes, can we win the league with £100 million? Yeah. Can Arsenal win the league with £100 million? No. So he wants ready-made solutions. He wants a job where he can go in, spend money, lift trophies, fuck off. And he works. He's brilliant at it. That Arsenal ain't that. Would Graham Potter be mad enough to leave Brighton in the middle of the season to go to Arsenal? Like, that's the lad I want. Like, if you're talking about that, that's
that. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yes, well, there you go. I don't believe. I cannot. Why? Like, how did? Genuine question. How did you end up with the Wolves manager? Like, did you watch any of the Wolves games over the last 4 years and go, "Yep, him. That's the lad I want at Tottenham"? Genuine question.
Choice.
Paratici's choice, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like Graham Potter has done it abroad. Like, he brought Ostersons to the Emirates and Bez. Yeah. So like, he's got quality. He's proven quality. He's doing it with Brighton right now. Like, Shane Duffy, Irish centre back, couldn't head a ball at Celtic, goes back to Brighton. Now he's banging them in for sport. Like, he's playing well again. Like, he's got, and with Tottenham, with the young players that you're trying to bring through, like, Nuno has no track record of bringing young lads through. None. Potter does.
It's interesting. I think Graham Potter to Arsenal is how I viewed Ben White to Arsenal. I think if Potter hangs around, he'll get a better job. It's like, with Pep leaving in a couple of years, with Klopp probably going in a couple of years, Man United, you never know with Solskjaer. There's going to be some teams that may well want someone like Potter. It would be weird because you don't see those clubs going for someone who probably won't have won anything, right? I mean, Graham Potter probably, he won the Swedish Cup with Austin, would most likely be it as far as he's concerned. But if I'm one of those managers and I want to continue with what those managers have done, then Potter would make sense. I think if I'm Graham Potter, I'm waiting a bit. Like, if Brighton have the year this year that they probably could and should have had last year, and they've got their players for another year in the system, they just get better and better. If Brighton finish top half, there will be teams that want him, and then it's up to him. If it's almost like Brendan Rodgers, like when does he leave Leicester? Right? It's that kind of, like, if Brendan Rodgers went somewhere else, then you could see Potter going to Leicester maybe, but you'd think, well, no, there's no point in that either. Like, when Potter leaves Brighton, it will be for almost certainly a top 4 club rather than Spurs or Arsenal. I
agree. I think he's going to wait for a top 4 club as well.
But there you go. We missed the boat, didn't we? Could have chased him hard. Could have waved him.
I don't think it would have mattered. I don't think it would have mattered. I think Potter was quite happy at Brighton. He gets to do what he wants. Everyone's fully behind him. You come into Spurs, Levy gets involved. He does have influence where he shouldn't. The idea of just saying, off you go, Potter, you go and do your thing, I don't think it would have worked. I don't think Potter wants that. He's quite happy to be where he is. And if he goes somewhere, then maybe he won't get that level of freedom. But when you're at a big club, a truly, Champions League every season club, then it may not matter so much. But it's going to be a good thing because, 3 years ago, everyone thought that of Eddie Howe, and now he's been out of work for a while. Yeah.
Eddie Howe wouldn't take the Celtic job.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, but the way Brighton are going, you'd expect them to be pretty comfortable this year.
You need a bit of luck as well. Like, when Liverpool sacked Brendan Rodgers, how were they to know that 2 weeks beforehand, like Dortmund were going to sack Jurgen Klopp? Like sometimes you just need something to drop into your. Chelsea decide they need a new manager. Oh, good news, PSG just sacked Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
There you go. Happy days. Like, sometimes you need a little bit of luck in your life. We don't know who's going to be free in 6 months. So
it's a Spurs fan, apparently.
Like he would, again, another lad perfect for you. Like it's like the Spurs job is like at worst one of the best 15 in world football.
Yeah.
At worst, right? Like even where they are, and even with a 1.3 billion mortgage to pay off, like it's still a big club. It's still a massive stadium. It's still going to be full every week, and it's still you've still got London to, yeah. Well, Middlesex, but it, I know, but like you'd still be able to draw top like Alexis Sanchez signed for Arsenal instead of Liverpool because he wanted to live in London.
Yeah.
End of. You know, like you will still have that draw and the ability to pay big wages just because of the Premier League's TV deal. So you will always be able to attract someone, whether it be a really top Spanish coach, really top Italian coach, German coach, French coach. So as long as you cast your net big enough. My question always with Levy was, and this goes back to, you know, sacking Juan de Ramos and hiring Harry Redknapp. It's like, what the fuck is the plan? You know, like if you're going from hiring a tactician and then a man manager and then a tactician and then a man manager and then a tactician and then a man manager, what are you doing? There is no plan. And then, like Shan said, you know, Nuno was what, 7th choice? Tottenham are too big to be settling for 7th choice. Tottenham are not the lad that goes into a nightclub, waits until 2:30 and doesn't pull and then goes, look, you.
No, that's
like,
taller.
You know,
allegedly seventh choice. We should.
Okay, but he wasn't first. Like on your short list, where was Nuno?
No, I mean,
when he's top 5, probably.
So at best, he's fit.
We had a sexist racist above Nuno.
Gattuso, I don't think he was ever in the frame. I really don't.
No, I think that Levy has one idea. Levy is the person who doesn't know football. Levy is David Brent, who says, well, Beethoven's a very good composer. It's the only one he's heard of. Levy goes for people that he's heard of, that he knows the name. So that's why he went for Van Gaal before Pochettino. Van Gaal went to Man United and Spurs lucked out. He tends to go for the people that he's heard of. There's nothing more than that. Like, or he thinks, oh, this guy is considered the next big thing. We'll go for him. I don't think he ever really considers who's a good fit for what he's got or who might work with what he's got. It's very much, I want the manager, and the manager will somehow make these players better and combine it into a team. I don't know many managers that are able to do that. Even you know, Klopp, what, 4 or 5 years before he won anything at Liverpool, got to finals but lost. Pep can go and buy who he wants, but he buys to a plan. So it doesn't really matter if there are people already at the club because, and the defenders especially don't have to do much. At Man City, it's all about you win the ball back and the defenders can just stand there and watch basically most of the game. I think that Levy's big thing is that he is the football fan who knows nothing about football, and that's been a massive issue.
Yeah, when I was at school.
Yeah, exactly.
At least he knows what colour we play in, though.
Well, that's refreshing.
Yeah, we've got green and purple right now. It's stupid.
No, don't talk about that kit. Jesus Christ,
Steve. Who do you think are our danger men, son? Who do you worry about in this Spurs side as it is now?
Well,
not who you dislike, which was the question that was. But who do you worry about the most? I mean, there's obviously Kane, but
it's the two. It's Son and Kane. They're the 2 world class players you have, and by world class I mean like so. Even if City came in for 100 million for Kane, I would be like, why are you not buying Son? Like Son is that good. Like he's not Kane good, but like I don't think there's 20 players better in world football than him and Son. He's unbelievable. Left wing, right wing, centre forward, both feet, and someone who will do Kane's running. By that I mean like Kane. If Kane feels like, do you know what? Today I'm going to play number 10. Hillman, someone put up his hand. So do you want me to run forward? Yes, please. Thanks, mate. And if Kane wants to play number 9, do you want me to come into the centre? Yes, please. Thanks very much. Good luck. Like if Kane is Batman, Hillman's son is Robin. They're brilliant together. What you need is a third act. But as you could be playing the worst football you'd ever played, and if Kane gets the ball 25 yards out and Son is in space, I'm shitting myself. And everyone will, because they can just get a goal out of anywhere. And that's always going to be your get-out clause. No matter how bad you're playing, Son gets the ball 20 yards out, you're all thinking, oh. And there's not many players like that in the Premier League. Even to this day, Man City buy Jack Grealish for 100 million. Grealish gets the ball 40 yards out. Are you going, uh-oh? if Kevin De Bruyne gets the ball 40 yards out, you're going, uh-oh. Like, that's the difference. And it's one of those ones where it's amazing how they've had 6 years of this now. 6 years of Kane and Son together and never found a third man. Never found a third lad to go on the right and go, right, spread out the play. They've tried everyone. They've tried the quick little tricky little winger. They've tried the creative number 10. They've tried Gareth Bale. Like, it's something that is really hard to figure out because you don't know what Kane you're going to get. Are you going to get the number 9 or the number 10? When he's on form, he plays both, and he's the best striker in the world, ahead of Lewandowski. I'll say that. And it's one of those ones where if you can build a team where Kane trusts the lad on his right as much as you trust on the lad on his left, then fix the defense, you're flying it. But you've had 6 years now, and you still haven't done it.
Well, there's still
I would say
time.
Gareth Bale would have worked, but Jose just didn't want to play him, did he?
We wasted Gareth Bale. We
Wasted him completely.
Yeah.
11 was it 11 goals, wasn't it, in the end? And
It
could have been so much more. Could have been so much more.
He barely played. And it was mainly down to Jose. I'm not going to get drawn back into that, but because I'll just get pissed off and it'll ruin my day at the boxing tomorrow if I start thinking about Bale. Look, I asked you all to do some homework before this show, so hopefully you've been thinking about your combined Spurs and Arsenal 11, and this should give us a inkling as to where the balance of power lies in North London. So I'm going to go around and sort of ask you now, who is your combined 11, and how many Spurs and Arsenal players get in?
Cooler, before we do that, can we just read out the 11 we saw earlier? Because
if you want to. So where was it from, Shan? First,
I retweeted it and said that the guy was deluded and on crack. So
yeah, where was it from though? Who was the originator of it?
Oh, hang on a minute.
It was an Arsenal Twitter guy, I think, called Sensible Gunner.
Clearly not that sensible.
Oh God!
Yeah, the sensible gunner.
Are you familiar with this man, Stephen?
As soon as someone puts a verb or a noun in their Twitter handle, then it's like as soon as someone has to describe who they are in their Twitter handle, no, it's like when you get three words into a Tinder description, and you just know. You just know. No. Like, as soon as someone says, "This is who I am," no.
God,
so.
Where do you want to start from? The manager,
you wanted
the
to talk about
goalkeeper,
that, didn't you?
or the striker?
Go on, you describe it.
Oh, we'll go from the front, shall we? So the sensible gunner has got Aubameyang ahead of Harry Kane in his combined 11.
Never, not in a million. Not in a million.
This one I agree with. He's got Saka on the right. I'd agree with that, and Son on the left. I'd agree with that. So that'd be the front. You'd have Kane, Son, and Saka.
That's the front three.
I think we'd all have that, right? Just not because you don't have a right winger. It's just Saka's that good. Saka's going to be unbelievable in 2 years. But yeah,
I mean, you rate him higher than me, Steve.
For Manchester City.
Maybe for City or United, whoever buys him. But no, Saka.
He's a great player.
Saka's going to be unbelievable in 2 years. Unbelievable.
And then you've got Odegaard as the 10. Which, if you're playing in a 4-2-1,
so they're going 4-2-3-1. Yeah,
that's what they've done.
4-2-3-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got Odegaard in there, but if that's how you're playing, then I'd maybe agree with that.
You don't really have it.
No, exactly.
Ndombele in that position would be incredible, but I'm going to go Ndombele. Yeah. But both of them it's a bit like.
No, I'd go Ndombele in that position over Odegaard.
Massive shout out to official Carl. He's got 5-0. There you go.
Imagine that.
Chats in. He's
imagine that.
5-0. We'll come back to that at the end.
Then we move into the midfield, and this is just.
So Arsenal.
I mean,
has he picked Xhaka?
He's picked Xhaka and Partey in the. He's gone. Xhaka.
No, just
ahead of Højbjerg and Skipp.
Just no, like Højbjerg and Partey be a damn good midfield too.
Yeah.
Frankly,
but Xhaka gets nowhere near that for me.
No.
No.
You've got Højbjerg in there over Xhaka every single day of the week.
100%.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Jesus, yeah.
And then you've got a defence of Kieran Tierney, Gabriel, White, and Tomiyasu. I'd agree with Tierney and Tomiyasu, but Gabriel and Ben White, I'd have Dyer and Sanchez in there ahead of them too, and that's saying something.
Jesus Christ, that's language. Fuck me. I swore a lot. Cry.
Would you have Tomiyasu over Tanganga?
I
don't know. I don't think so.
They're similar players. I mean, they are very similar players. You know,
that's why we didn't buy Tomiyasu, isn't it? Actually, I'd go Tanganga at right back.
Yeah, Tanganga for me all day long.
I'm gonna say Tanganga, Sanchez, Romero, and then Tierney at left back. Tierney is better than Reguilon.
I agree with Tierney, left back.
I'm just happy that you've got Sanchez in your starting 11. To be honest,
It's Big Dave. He's a great guy.
Romero. Yeah. What about Romero? No.
Yeah, I said Romero.
Romero and Sanchez.
Yeah, would be my pick. And then in goal, you've got Aaron Ramsdale ahead of World Cup winning captain Hugo Lloris.
No way. No. Lloris is going to be relegated.
We've rubbished that. Let's go round the room very quickly.
Oh, I haven't finished with the manager yet.
Oh, go on.
So the manager would be Mikel Arteta.
He's won something.
Yes.
HG, how many Spurs? What's your mix?
It would be a 3-4-3 because I think it suits both sides, frankly. So Hugo in goal, back three of Romero and Tierney and Ben White, if I'm honest. I'd have Reguilon as a left wing back. I have a very soft spot for Maitland-Niles, so I'd probably put him as the right wing back. I think it works. I like him as a footballer. I think he's just got. I don't know how to put it. Like he thinks and plays like a footballer, and I think out on the wing is good for him. Kane, Son, and Saka as the front three.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did I say the two midfielders? No, Højbjerg and Ndombele.
So how many Spurs players is that?
So Hugo and Romero and Reggie.
7.
Yeah, Hugo, Romero, Reguilon, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Kane,
Son.
7. Yeah.
7.
Cookie.
Yeah, so I've gone Lloris in goal, Tierney, Romero, Sanchez, Tanganga. I've gone Højbjerg and Skipp with Ndombele in a midfield three, and I've gone Saka, Son, and Kane as a forward three.
So how many Arsenal players was that?
So I've got Tierney, 1, 2.
2.
Tierney and Saka.
Fair, that's pretty similar to what I would say.
Tierney and
I'm
Saka.
going to caveat that by saying I don't believe we'll win. Steve,
We've the worst manager. We've 2 in the top 11, and we'll win.
You've got the win. No, I don't think you'll win. I think it'd be a draw. In my view, it's a draw. It's got draw written all over it. But...
So let me count the Spurs players a minute. So Lloris, Tierney, Gabriel, Romero, Tomiyasu by default, really. You know, I don't think either of us have a right back that we put any sort of like he's definitely better than all of them. So, but he gets in by default just because of this.
I just think on
Tanga
that,
is.
I don't think it'll be Tanga. I think it'd be Royal.
Oh, I hope so.
No, Tanganga.
So, what do you think about Emerson then? If you've seen him, Stephen,
he likes to attack. There's a reason why they sent him on loan and kept Semedo at Barca. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that says a lot. Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. Okay, they thought Semedo was the better defender, so they kept him.
Yeah,
not the biggest vote of approve. Now maybe he improved a bit. He was really good at Betis, so you know. But yeah, another wing back bought to play full back. I'm not sort of like we're seeing what happened with Reguilon. Fantastic wing back, horrible full back. So like I'm almost at the point where if you've got no right winger of ilk, play Son right wing, play Reguilon left wing, and at least have someone. Like, if you've got another left back, play him. Like it's because he's a better attacker than the defender. Midfield 2. Partey when fit is brilliant. ... when fit, but Partey and Højbjerg, I think it'd be a fantastic midfield too for most teams. Full stop. I think Partey Højbjerg would be a better midfield too than McTominay Fred.
Mm-hmm.
So like and if they're going to be competing for the league, then that midfield would do as well. And Ndombele is an 8 for me. He's so good at what he does is because he can do it from deep and attack. And Odegaard is a 10, but we're now starting to play him as an 8, the same way City are doing with Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva and Bernardo Silva, where they love their creative players playing as box-to-boxes. We're trying to do the same with Odegaard. I've said it on a few Daily Cannon videos, tactics videos that I do, that if there is a god, he would turn Odegaard into some form of Luka Modric. Where it's like, if he can be a 10, because when Dynamo Zagreb when he bought him from Zagreb, he was a 10. He couldn't play him as 10 because Harry had him. So he's like, no, you're playing as an 8. And fuck me, was he good? I don't need to tell you how good Luka Modric was an 8. He's unbelievable. If Odegaard can be 75% of what Luka Modric did, both back and forward, I'll take that. 100%. But right now he's a 10. And then, it's Son, of course, Kane, of course, and Saka, because, again, he's the future at right wing. He's getting there now, but like, I'm not picking Pepe. I'd like to come on here again.
it is interesting about like the third striker. Like, we all went for Kane and Son, but Saka, we all know that it's there. I mean, he's still only 20. He's a young kid.
20.
But it is almost like, maybe for some games you'd want Smith Rowe there. Maybe in some games you'd want someone else there. But when it comes to the ability to, he's cultured, right? He's composed. Like, type of. I mean, there aren't many Arsenal players that I've sat there and thought, okay, this kid is good, right? Even Wilshere, I hated him too much to really see that he could play football once in a while. But Saka, there's nothing to hate about him. He plays with a smile on his face. He plays left wing back, left back. He'll do what I ask him to do, and he's a really good player.
Look, we all saw the banner you put up when we played you in the Mime series. Yeah. Where it's like, lads, for God's sake, don't slag that lad off. He's done nothing. Like for with all rivalry put aside, when Tottenham Hotspur go out of their way to make it perfectly clear, do not slag off the Arsenal player. That's not us. Like, that's how. That's where it is with him. And
he'll get slagged off. He'll get slagged off on Sunday. I'm sure there are lots of Spurs fans.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. But like, it's just as most common decent people should know, there's a line, and Tottenham were very, very, very quick to point that out, and they deserve all the credit in the world for doing it.
Special moment. That's brilliant to see that.
Steve, how many players were Spurs and how many were Arsenal in your lineup?
Lloris, Romero, 2, 3, 5. I've gone 6-5 Arsenal.
It's a clear bias there.
Oh yeah.
Not happy about that.
As opposed to the 9-2 to my right. But
who would you have as manager of that team?
Oh, out of the two, who would you take? You can't say Arteta.
But like, I've just watched Nuno last week play Harry Kane left wing. Like that's like when you
that's what Nuno wanted to do.
No, Kane played
Harry Kane deciding he just goes where he wants.
Kane just decided, I'm going to trot off that way.
That's not Nuno. That's not Nuno. That's all Kane. That.
Isn't that worse?
That's clearly Nuno. Look, I'm sorry, Chelsea. Chelsea at home is always like. I mean, just like it was Nuno, because like we had all our creative players. It was Højbjerg, Lo Celso, and Ndombele starting. Ledley was there. Like, we had basically midfielders to try and crowd them out and control the ball in the first half. And Kane became that one. Son was the focal point. It would have continued had we not conceded 2 stupid goals. So I do think that was more because of who we're playing, and Kane has to be in the side rather than Kane deciding, I'm going to do what I want. And Kane is many things. I don't think he's that.
I think I still have Nuno managing my team, though, to be honest, all day. Despite some of the flack he gets, I think Nuno definitely gets that over Arteta.
The thing is with Nuno, to me, he's a proper football manager. And I just don't see Arteta as anything more than a coach or an ex-professional.
He likes
who's
to put
trying
out
to be a coach.
Yeah, he's a cone boy, isn't he?
He's very good at putting out cones. I'll give him that.
And his hair. as someone who is like clearly losing it over time, like the man's ability to keep basically a Lego block on his hair in his mid-40s is something to be, roundly applauded. But
I would take
Hairline is
Nuno's.
HD.
Yeah, Nuno's beard beats Arteta's Fisher Price haircut. It's just how it is.
Oh, no. Potter's beard takes some beating. Graham Potter, his new beard's proper beard.
yeah,
He's a proper
I
beard.
think Graham Potter is the only man I've ever known who looks worse with a beard.
yeah,
Yes. I think he's got better since he's had a beard.
No, I mean
No.
he's not a good-looking man, but the beard does not help. Not at all.
The beard makes it look like he was outside Lidl the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You
it's
take a few comments, HG, while I just nip off a bit and then we'll wrap up shortly.
Well, I don't know if you can see the comments, Stephen, but you have been getting quite a lot of praise from Spurs fans, basically saying that you're a reasonable Arsenal fan, and we don't know too many. So, there's a great level of
refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it is my job for a living. I talk on live radio, so my job is to make sure nobody hates me, and it's one of those ones. But like, it's football, right? Like, not that we don't take it seriously, we do. But if you can't recognize the other side as well, then what's the point? Like, then you're just a Twitter troll that just says we won, and then just says nothing for 2 weeks when you lost. Like, you have to take your L's, you have to take your lumps, you have to take your shit. And if that means coming onto a Spurs podcast and getting mocked or getting that, then fine, because you're letting me have jokes back. Like, it's the point of it. And like it's one of those ones where either you give a shit or you don't. And I'm not ashamed to say I give a shit, and neither are ye, and that deserves at least basic respect. So here I am.
Okay. I'm just going through the comments quickly. There is this one. It's very Spurs oriented, but Elliot talks about Spurs having growing pains, and I guess Arsenal went through this too, 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. Obviously, Poch's success wasn't as trophy-laden as Wenger's, but you do get the impression that there are, I've said this before, plenty of Spurs fans who are 15 years younger than me, who have only known Spurs in Europe every season.
Yeah.
And, I remember. I remember. Like, I was 30 when Spurs qualified for the Europe for the first time in I don't know how long, and so to do it every year for me, it's like that's great. If we get to Europe, I'm happy because it means games every 3 days, and I want to see Spurs as often as possible. But for those that have been through and experienced the Champions League campaigns, especially the run to the final, it has changed that. We've got this brand new stadium. We're supposed to be getting all this revenue. Obviously, the revenue hasn't happened because of COVID, but we've got everything in place. So how come we're still shit? And I think for a lot of Spurs fans, it's frustrating. And you just hope that, as with Arsenal, the recruitment will be key. Like, the manager is obviously important, but I think Arsenal bought pretty well this summer, even though they spent a lot and then lost their first game. I don't think that's really going to define their season. And so with Spurs, hopefully, beating City first game won't define ours either. We then have to get better. But I think that the growing pains that Spurs are going through has to be tempered, because Spurs fans have to realise that we are a number of years away from being maybe where we want to be and actually competing, not just for titles, because we'd love to see that, but also to feel like we have a really good chance of finishing in the Champions League spots and everything that comes with that. I don't know what you guys think. Shan?
Yeah, I am one of those. Obviously, 2011 our first Champions League season? 2010-11?
Yeah.
So then I was, 15? And we were in Europe before that. So I pretty much remember Spurs being in Europe. Obviously, I remember when Harry Redknapp came to the rescue and we were battling relegation as well. So to then get to the Champions League, that was a big deal. And then to sustain it, bring Poch in and continue and get all those seasons back to back in the Champions. I think we were the longest running Premier League team in the Champions League at the point where we went out in the last time we were in it. So a lot of my memory of following Spurs closely, we have been a Champions League club. So then when you're not hitting that, and Cody here flexing my youth, So when we're not doing that, obviously it's disappointing, but there has to be a certain level of you understand why. We had a very aging squad. We need to refresh it up a little bit. We didn't buy a player in 18 months. There's reasons behind where we're at now. And now Levy needs to show what he wants to do. He needs to show some ambition, because so far, I mean, I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people make him out to be. I think we're soon enough. If we didn't give him any praise, then how did we get the 16-17 squad, which was good enough to win the league? It was good enough to win trophies. We've been good enough to win trophies in the last 10 years. We just haven't done it. I don't know whether that's a mentality thing. I've always thought so. Just that mentality. We've never been able to get over the line and get that extra bit of confidence. And then every final you lose, it's an extra knock of that confidence. So yeah, obviously Levy needs to show some ambition. I don't think he's as bad as what everyone makes out, but I do think he needs to really show something now. I think this is a bit of it's crunch time. If we're rebuilding, he needs to make sure we do it properly.
Well, it's not really him in control of that, is it? It's the director of football.
He's still the one that's signing the checks, though. Paratici isn't going to do anything without Daniel Levy saying yes or no.
Yeah, true.
It is a really tricky spot you're in right now, because like Shan's right. Like, you've just built the new stadium, and I'm not going to slate it. It's unbelievable. Like, everyone knows it's unbelievable. There's a world title fight happening tomorrow night. Call it going. Yeah, like it's there's going to be an NFL team in it in 3 years, and you literally just wheel the pitch out and wheel in another one to make sure that the grass is kept untouched. It's an unbelievable stadium, but now you got to pay for it. Like, and how do you do that and spend the 200 million that it would probably take to get your team up to where they're at least challenging for the Champions League money that you need to pay off the stadium? That's the problem. Like, yes, he needs to show ambition, but yet he's then going to point at the throne of a stadium that he's just built and gone, ambition. Look where you are. Like, look where we are. We're in one of the nicest stadiums in the world. Like, when you pick out landmarks of famous stadiums and you see, oh, there's Tottenham's, it's unmistakable. And it's now, what do you do to fix that? How do you go about that? Like, Wenger, yes, built the invincible sites, fantastic. Built the Emirates for 360 million quid. Went 5 years in the Champions League where top four got you in, and there was only really two teams that were challenging for the league. And he'd go fourth, third, and did it, and made 20 million in his back pocket on the far side as well. Now Tottenham are trying to repeat the trick with the European champions, the league champions, the European champions from 2 years ago, and a team that just bought Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho, and Cristiano Ronaldo in one transfer window. Good luck with that. So the world has conspired against you in a way where you've got the new stadium, now you need the money from it. Champions League you're not getting next season, because the four lads that are in the Champions League right now might be in the Champions League semi-finals. You couldn't fill the last stadium because some lad in China ate a bat. Like, what do you do? Like, now you're 150 million in the debt that you got to give to the government straight away, and your best player wants out because he said so. Is that Levy's fault? Well, the biggest problem is that we can all say this, and not that we're in any position to be professional analysts on football or anything like that, but if we can see it, then so can they, and we can all say it. But like, what's the answer? And I don't have one. Unless it's some man called Sheikh. And do you want that?
Well, personally, no. But a lot of people on Twitter would have you believe that that's better for Spurs than what we've got right now.
I mean, I'd hope it's Shakin' Stevens. But that isn't like, is that, when you've got like the biggest clubs right now, Manchester City is run as a PR group for one Gulf nation. Paris Saint-Germain is run as a PR group to run anti-PR against that nation. Barcelona are now in debt up to here because Messi was getting paid 600 million for 4 years. Real Madrid are up to debt about here, but don't worry, the Spanish government will buy another training ground off them for 300 million. They'll be fine. After that, who is there? Us, ye, Chelsea, City, United, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, so that's who we're competing with. And Bayern Munich have got one of the nicest stadiums in the world. They've got Lewandowski up front and half the Germany team. Madrid and Barcelona will find money from somewhere. They always do. It's just the way things work. And now we've got 4 oligarchs parking, as David Dean said, parking tanks firing €50 notes at us. And
This is
we're
a good
trying to
question.
beat that.
I like that
This-
question. Yeah.
This is a good question from Cody. Would you trade ownership? Would you trade the Cronkies for Levy and Enoch?
Looks like a yes.
No, definitely yes.
So, Stan Kroenke is a piece of shit. Let's get one thing out of the way, right?
Definitely a yes.
Right. But so is Joe Lewis.
Yeah.
So, like, for all the stick that Daniel Levy gets, none of this could happen without Joe Lewis putting up his hand and going, "Here, I'm worth." What's he worth? 10, 12 billion? What's Enoch worth? Like, it's fun. Like, yes. And then Daniel Levy came out and said, "What Tottenham's worth? What 3.5 billion? Like, maybe allegedly, like
in assets, yeah, just assets.
yeah." But Stan Kroenke took a team out of Los Angeles to move to his hometown in St. Louis, and St. Louis Town Council basically built a $300 million stadium for him. Was there for 30 years, and then he goes, "Well, you're gonna have to build another stadium for me to stay in my hometown." St. Louis, middle of a downturn in the economy, told him to get stuffed, so he fucked off back to Los Angeles and built a $4 billion stadium there out of his own money. Like, what do you do? Like, this is what this man cares about: money. Arsenal is an investment to him, nothing more, nothing less. He cares nothing about the club. A lot of things that can be said about Levy, but he gives a shit. Like, if he didn't, does he need the money? No, absolutely not. What did he make last year? 6 million? Something like that. Does Joe Lewis need the money? Nope. What's he worth? 6 billion? Like, these lads are not there for the money. Their money's made, and if they sold up tomorrow, they'd get 2 billion easy. And yes, if Winks is worth 40 million, so are mine. So am I. Like, it's. But that's the problem. Like, it's so. Would I take Stan Kroenke over Daniel Levy? No, but I'd take Cookie over Stan Kroenke. Like, my ability, my opinion of Stan Kroenke could only be lower if I had a JCB. Like, so yeah, like, Kroenke needs to sell the club. Do I want him to? But who do you sell him to? Like, that's again. Then we're in the problem of who do you sell him? Do you sell him to an African dictator who's going to treat them like shit?
Spotify, was it? Is it Spotify?
Yeah, but yeah, Danny Lek is worth 6 billion. Like Stan Kroenke's wife is worth 40 billion. Like we have a billionaire owner. Like, what are we gonna do? Just swap him for another one and just keep swapping like top trumps until we find one that works. And then we're just another plaything for a multi-billionaire who just wants something to do while he's in London for a weekend. Like, yay! Like,
it's a difficult conundrum, isn't it? It's a difficult conundrum because I would say I'm really happy for Levy to go. I'd love Levy to leave, but what does that then leave behind him? Who comes in? And the reality is, if he's valuing Tottenham at £3 billion, it's probably going to be another investment company. Because when you look at the people who bought Premier League teams who are, the oligarchs, City, Chelsea, what did they pick them up for, HG? Like 200 mil, 300 mil?
Yeah.
So they're now sat on like a 3 billion valuation. They're not stupid. Yep. No one's going to pay 3 billion quid for Spurs and then invest another few £100 million in the team. It's not going to happen. And this is the issue that unfortunately, I don't know at what point it will get resolved. Enoch will want to sell at some point because they're an investment company, but who we get worries me because it's everyone's got this simplistic view. Oh, maybe it'll be a Messiah who just comes, who comes in and buys the team out and spends a couple of $100 million. I've got to be honest, I can't see it happening. We're valued at too much.
And this is it. Like if it's an investment. Well, you're not going to make any money. It's not like buying a house and then watching it go up in value over the next 15 years. 3.5 billion may well be where it ends up. I don't know where the growth will happen. Yeah, you get returns on what you own, but they're not going to make 2 billion, 3 billion out of it like Levy, like Enoch will when they sell up. So it's almost like who is going to spend that money just to have a team? Is that literally it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know any billionaires that would invest that amount of money for very little financial reward out of it. I don't see it.
The only way that would happen, HG, is if the cheese room got so big, we all turned into billionaires, and then we bought the club. That's the only way that would happen.
Yeah.
Like this video. Yeah, exactly.
If you want Levy out, like and subscribe.
The reality is that most of the billionaires that are big players in the game now bought the clubs at a much lower valuation, and unfortunately, that's why they're billionaires, by the way, because they're very good at managing assets and money. It's not going to be the same for Spurs, and this is the issue, But we do digress, and that's a completely different debate for a completely different day. So I'm going to just 2 hours in, we're going to spin around the room and just take a final prediction from everyone. So, Shan, score Sunday
2-2.
2-2. HG.
2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. Oh, that's miserable.
2-1 Arsenal.
No, that does sound good to me. I'm going 0-0 still. I'm going to stick with 0-0.
0-0, Steve.
I'm 0-0. I think both managers will make sure it's nice and tight. No one will get any chances, and I think they'll both take a draw and move on to next week.
And I'm going to say a rare win for Spurs, 3-2. But an absolute banger of a match, which I'm sure is what we all hope for, really. Steve, look, thanks for being our guest tonight. Really appreciate having you on. Do you want to talk about your podcast or your YouTube channel at all?
I would like to say I work for Daily Cannon at Daily Cannon. We're dailycannon.com. We're there for 12, 13 years now. Really eclectic bunch of Arsenal loving people, but we talk about a lot more things other than Arsenal. Like our founder Lee Hurley. The site used to be ladyars.com. It was set up by Leanne Hurley. He's now Lee Hurley. The joys of this world. And our graphics girl is a Croatian woman who is now featured in FIFA World Cup videos. Like, we're everywhere. And if you do want to listen to a fat man talk about NFL and Arsenal on a regular basis, at Bradley08. Not at Stephen Bradley, because he took that Twitter handle 10 years ago and never used it, the twat. So, but at Bradley08. And, if you want to listen to Irish GAA from Lee Shoffley of Westmeath, Midlands103.com, you'll hear me 2 to 6 on Sunday afternoon.
There you go. And from everyone, obviously, Steve, sorry about this, but come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!